Hi and welcome to this grey and windy Sunday afternoon art haul unboxing. I can't believe I've had the self-restraint to not unpack and test all of these materials yet. So let's hop right in. The first thing that you can see sitting on the top is already unwrapped. This came in a little cardboard pouch, which was quite damaged during transport. So I already unpacked it to check that it was undamaged. And this is quite simply a pop-up pencil case that I ordered from Etchr. It's a lovely lady in France who makes these. And this is just very simply something that is missing from my life to pack the supplies that we're going to be unpacking. So the idea is very simply a pencil case where you can put your pens and pencils, and that then folds down into a little pot that you can keep on your desk for easy access, and that you can pop up when you travel and zip closed, hence pop-up pencil case. We will be filling this with what we're unpacking, so I'll actually keep it close by. And the other item that is already unpacked is actually a book that arrived also in quite precarious packaging from Amazon. So this took a very long time to arrive. It's a lovely book by Omar Wynne, who I am a huge fan of, and I have been wanting to get my hands on her book for a long time. And this was not easy in Switzerland. I had to order it through Amazon. However, we don't have Amazon in Switzerland, and it took several months to arrive. So I've been looking at this gorgeous little watercolor book, which is all about going with the flow, loose watercolor techniques. And there's a bit of mixed media, ink and watercolor in here, which is something that I've really wanted to play with. I'm really trying to loosen up more, be more spontaneous. I really enjoy the idea of not being married to a pencil sketch before I paint. I really like the idea of spontaneous sketching on the page and just focusing more on things like shape and color and value instead of focusing on the perfection of the drawing. I also particularly like Omar's technique of mixing dip pen with watercolor. I find it very beautiful. So these drawings, as you can see, are quite simple, but very effective and very bright. And if you're not familiar with her work yet, I am a huge fan. So I, of course, encourage you to go discover her. I'll add her handle in the description. So this is the book that will be sitting on my shelf while I work, and we can move on to the next box. So more organization tools, if I remember correctly, yes. So because I have ordered a lot of paintbrushes and pens and colored pencils, which is new for me, I have no storage for these. I spent a lot of time looking on Instagram and Pinterest and YouTube at how other artists were storing their materials. And I decided to try a few different options. So one of the options I'm trying is going to be the pop-up pencil case. And I also found these cute little guys, also on an Etsy shop, also from France. I have a taste for French home decoration. And these two are a matching set. They're wood with a matte paint finish. They've got a lovely sort of grainy texture to them. You can hear when I run my fingers across the surface. They've got a lovely velvety texture on them. They're very nice. Actually, I think this on the outside looks like it might be fabric. So it's some sort of woven fabric, and then the inside is wood, the base is wood. And they're very gorgeous. They have a very nice matte quality about them, and I think these will look great on the desk with my stationery in them. So these two will also get filled as we go along. Let's just empty out the cardboard for the recycling. Another little package. Who is this from? Oh, this is something I was very excited to try. Oh, and that is some very secure wrapping in there. Look at that, it's taped to the bottom. Ah, yes, and I see that I damaged it slightly when I opened the box. So let's get this untaped. This, luckily enough, was easy to get in Switzerland because it is from Caran, which is a Swiss brand based in Geneva. So thankfully, they have a local shop that ships. So here we have a little thank you letter embossed with merci, very sweet. I presume it contains the invoice and the returns. And this is a set I ordered from them. So this is the Caran creative set with Oliver Jeffers. And it's a mixture of luminance pencils and some of their other bigger neon pencils. So at the back you can see it's a little mixture. We will be unboxing and swatching these in a moment. So I can already unwrap and look at the box. It also comes in a cute little tin box, which is always useful. So let's have a look at this. Plus the packaging is gorgeous. Right. There we go. And here's a little tin Caran box. All right. And then here are the pencils. So there are a few luminance pencils, and then they have these double ones, which is so the yellow and black. So this is a neon yellow, graphic color. And then the luminance color pencils we will look at one by one. And there are 2 layers here. There we go. And there's the neon orange crayon. And then the other 4 luminance pencils. So we will look at each of these individually. But for now I can tell you that there is green malachite light, cobalt blue, Prussian blue, and then we have titanium buff, raw sienna, French grey, I think that's a 50%, no, it's a 30% French grey, and then the dark indigo. So these are some really nice colors that I wanted to buy anyway. Some of them really appeal to me, like the blues in this set really appeal to me. And I was very happy to pick them up as a whole set with the bonus of getting to test their neons. So these might as well already actually get popped in here. And then we have easy access to them when we need them. Okay, and this set actually I will be keeping for traveling. So this can be a traveling box. Okay, now coming on to some heavier things. Oh my. Oh, that is heavy. Okay, we need to do a little camera work around here. Right. And this one has the invoice stuck on the outside. Okay, so this was a nice big package from Etchr. I'm not gonna lie, this one was a bit of a splurge. I'm not gonna lie, this was a bit of a splurge, but there were so many things I wanted to try. Now the first item is maybe a bit controversial because I have seen some people thinking that tracing is cheating, whereas I have seen art instructors saying that tracing is the best way to learn. Be that as it may, I did want to try one of these tracing tools. So this is called the Etchr mirror. It's a little piece of glass mirror and a stand on which you can pop either your iPhone or your iPad and project an image onto your paper and then trace the image. So I haven't tried it yet, but I have watched a few videos. It looks like it will take a bit of a learning curve to master it, because from what I see, you kind of have to squint at the projection of the lines on the paper and then your hand on the paper. So it looks a little bit finicky, but I do have the patience and desire to test it. So this is a little piece of reflective mirror. I'm not going to take the protective plastic off right now while I'm unboxing the rest. And then there should be a stand to assemble somewhere over here. So there's a setup guide that will probably be very useful. And then here is the stand. This is made out of black plastic, and I will have to definitely look at the guide on how to assemble it correctly. And then the mirror, which also looks like it is actually made out of plastic. So It's actually quite supple. I wouldn't be worried about this breaking in my suitcase if I were to travel, or popping it in my bag. And it's actually quite small, so this is quite easy to pop into your iPad travel case. So we'll have a look at this as well in a bit. We'll put it to the test. And there's a little travel pouch that comes for the setup. So that is the Etchr tracing mirror. And then what I have wanted to try for a very long time were the Etchr sketchbooks. I've been using the Hahnmühle sketchbooks because in Switzerland, really Hahnmühle is the predominant brand that they sell in all the art shops. But I have heard so much about the Etchr sketchbooks that I have waited 2 years, pretty much, to try them. Probably hasn't been that long. It's probably been about 1.5 years, but it feels like an unreasonably long time. And about as unreasonably hard as it feels to open their plastic wrapping. Okay, that's quite a workout. So because I had to order these from the States and I was going to pay shipping and import duties on all of them, it was actually easier for me to make one big order and order all of their sketchbooks to try, instead of ordering smaller orders of one and then 6 months later another one. So I've gone ahead and ordered a whole box full of different versions of their sketchbooks so I can decide which one I like the best, if I like any of them. It's unlikely that I wouldn't like them, but you never know. Okay, that's very cute retro packaging. And they do say it's vegan friendly, please recycle, after they wrap it in some impossible to remove plastic. Still, I guess they tried. And there is even more wrapping. So there we go. This one, the very first one, is the Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series. So this is the beige one. This is the one that is cold press. I bought the size that is B5. So as you can see the measurements here, let me hold it up so you can actually see the size on this. It's 300 gram cold press archival grade paper, and it's got these nice deckled edges along one side. So let me go ahead and unwrap that. Cold press paper is really my go-to. It's what I have worked on ever since I began painting with watercolors last winter. So yes, I always feel guilty when I splurge on my art supplies because I have only been painting for 1.5 years. And it's intimidating. It's intimidating watching people who have all of these great accounts and great experience, who have so much talent and paint such beautiful things and create such original and imaginative work. And it always feels like it's very justified when they invest into their painting. And for me, since it is a hobby, it's a passion project, and it's only one that I've started relatively recently, I still feel guilty about buying nice things. But I did hear someone say once that watercolor paper goes off after a couple of years and that watercolor paint also goes off. So I've been making a conscious effort to use up my supplies and not be so precious about them. So this is one of my strategies, is that I'm going to have a range of supplies. I've been very precious with my everyday cheap Hahnmühle sketchbooks, which are cheap and they're very much an everyday staple. And I have been so stingy with them and so precious about them and not using them as actual rough sketching books. So I've decided to go ahead and buy some really nice ones that I can be precious with in an effort to sort of free up my hand on the page and to not worry about making a mess in my actual rough sketchbook. So this is what the paper looks like. It is really thick and solid. It's got a nice bit of grain, but not too rough. It's really, really nice. So if you're used to an Archer's 300 gram paper, for example, this does not feel as rough. It only has the deckled edges on one side, but it definitely feels thick enough to be able to hold paint and water on both sides of the page. So I will very much look forward to trying this, and I truly enjoy this vegan leather in cognac that they have here. This is gorgeous. So after that long explanation, let's have a look at the next one. Now let's move on to the next one. This one is going to be the Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series in hot press paper. It will be the blue one, so let's unwrap that and have a look at it. What I forgot to mention was that both this sketchbook and the previous one, the brown one, these are both from the Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series. So this is Etchr's highest end sketchbook. It is the priciest one they have, and they only come in these two colors and in these two versions. So they only come in the brown, which is cold press, and in the blue, which is hot press. And here you have it, the Perfect Sketchbook Signature Series in the smooth hot press paper. So the size is also a B5. I'll hold it up so you can have a look at it. It's also covered in the vegan leather. It's got a nice blue color. And the pages inside also have a deckled edge along the outer rim, but not along the top and bottom edges. The paper here feels nice and smooth, of course, but there is still a little bit of very light and soft texture to it. It's not satin smooth, it's not shiny satiny smooth. There is a little bit of very soft grain to it, which is very interesting. And the paper here as well is very thick and feels very solid, very sturdy. And I have never tried hot press paper before, so this is going to be very interesting. I really want to see how the colors blend and how the pigments blend and move on a cold press surface. So moving on to the last three sketchbooks in the box. These are all the same. It's their pack of 3, the Perfect Sketchbook, or as they abbreviate on their website, TPS. And it is the pack of 3 because it works out a little bit cheaper to actually order a pack of 3 than to order individually. And especially if you're ordering to import overseas, it's much nicer to only pay duties once instead of paying customs and duties several times. So this is a landscape format. Already you can see that the size is different. And this is also a 300 gram cold press paper. I bought the cold press version, so all 3. So I have 3 of these. 1, 2, 3, these are all the same. So I won't be unwrapping the other 2. I'm actually going to put them away in the cupboard and store them like this so that they stay protected. But yeah, so this is a pack of 3 of cold press. And I'm so distracted by the beautiful artwork on this. I'm loving the artwork on all these sketchbooks done by a lovely artist called Erwin Lian. And actually, if you didn't notice on the previous sketchbooks, it's also artwork by the same artist, and I find it so beautiful. But this cat is gorgeous. So let's open this up and have a look. And it will be interesting to see how the paper in this one compares to the Signature Series. Of course, the difference with the Signature Series is the size. Since the Signature Series only comes in a B5, and the Perfect Sketchbook is in a landscape format. So of course the size is different. And this one has a lovely dark gray cover, no deckled edges, and the paper on this one already feels a bit toothier. It still feels nice and thick. Not completely square, funny enough, the angles are rounded. So also sewn for the binding, and the paper here also feels nice and thick. You can see some of that on the camera. And this looks also very, very nice. It feels a bit more textured than the Signature series. Let me have a look actually, if this is just my imagination. But let's hold them up to the light. Oh yeah, definitely. So the color is different. The first thing, it's hard to pick up on maybe with artificial light. I've had to switch the light on because it's so gloomy outside. But this one, the Perfect Sketchbook Signature series in cold press, has more of an ivory yellow hue, whereas this one, the Perfect Sketchbook, is very much a soft white. So this one is definitely warmer and a bit yellower. Of course, we've noticed the deckled edges and the size difference. But look at the grain on this. I'm going to try and find an angle where this is visible. Maybe here, there we go. You can see the grain on here is quite fine, whereas the grain on this one is toothier. Maybe like this, there we go. So you can see the grain on the Perfect Sketchbook is quite rough compared to the grain on the Signature series. There we go, look at the difference in those two. And you can also see the difference in tone. Very interesting. So these will also hold water and pigment differently. So very interested to compare them and very interested to start working in them. So those are the Etchr sketchbooks. So before I carry on, I forgot to mention when I was unwrapping the Caran luminance set by Oliver Jeffers, that this actually comes with an online creative course by the artist Oliver Jeffers, and of course you can just scan the QR code and access the course with the code that you get in the pencil case. Moving on, we are still in the sketchbook phase. I did order quite a few for comparison. So as I explained, I have been using for a year and a half, very loyally, the Hahn Müller 250 GSM 100% cotton sketchbooks, which are nice. They are real bang for your buck because they're cheap. And they're 100% cotton, and they are quite thick, and they do hold water quite well for watercolor. And I will do a sketchbook tour at some point to show you. However, I have become very precious and very restrained in my efforts to experiment in my sketchbook, which is why I wanted to buy a pretty and precious sketchbook so that I can restrain my precious activities or limit my precious activities to my precious sketchbook, and I can actually be more free and uninhibited in my everyday sketchbook. So one of the sketchbooks that was in the special category for me, that was quite a budget, was this one from KOVAL Sketchbooks. I found them on Instagram and was very interested in trying these books that are actually made from the paper of your choice. So they make them from Fabriano, Waterfoot Saunders, and also Arches. And they have different formats and different papers. So the version I was really interested in trying was the Sketchbook Pro. So this is the Sketchzilla, and the size, it's the largest one they make. So it's almost a square format, but not quite. It contains 36 pages of Arches watercolor paper, 300 GSM, cold pressed, natural white. So this comes made with the Arches paper. I see the band is detachable. And I've actually never seen these in real life. I've only seen them in Instagram. But I thought I knew what to expect with the paper since I have used Arches regularly. And this is exactly what it says on the label. This is some nice cold pressed Arches watercolor paper. I like the touch of the deckled edges. Here as well, like the signature series from Etchr, we have the deckled edges only on the side, not on the top and bottom. I do regret that this plastic band is completely detachable. I can see myself losing this very quickly, probably within the first week. But let's see how that goes. I will try and start remembering things. The deckled edges on these are really seducing me every time. I really wanted a deckled edge sketchbook, actually. I think that is the main takeaway here, is that I was willing to order sketchbooks from the US all the way to Eastern Europe to try and find a good deckled edge sketchbook. So this is handmade. You have a certificate with the date it was made, apparently. And they've got a very nice Instagram page explaining their process if you are interested. So this was, I would say, the most expensive of the sketchbooks, if I remember correctly. And that is mostly because of also the paper being used. There are not a lot of companies offering handmade Arches paper sketchbooks. I like the size, I like that it's really big. There are some other people on Instagram making beautiful handmade Arches sketchbooks, but in smaller formats, on Etsy also. So I was really happy to get quite a big format. And that is why this is the fancy sketchbook of the haul. So that's the only thing I ordered from them. And I see that they have very kindly put in some swatches of their papers. So they offer their sketchbooks in the Fabriano Artistico, 100% cotton, 300 GSM. So there's one that's cold pressed. Oh, I don't see the difference between these. So those are both Fabriano Artistico swatches. This is the rough, so I see the difference between, so Fabriano cold pressed, Fabriano rough. This is smooth, so this is an Archer's natural white, and this is a much thinner paper, hot pressed. Fabriano, this is the 200 GSM, so also a lighter paper, rough texture. And then this nice thick piece here is the Saunders Waterford 100% cotton 300 GSM cold pressed. This is also something I use a lot at home and that I enjoy very much. I'm quite biased because one of the reasons I enjoy it is this beautiful watermark on here. I realized that it could be interesting having a sketchbook made from the Saunders Waterford if they include the watermark in it for you. That is very pretty. If you have the embossed watermark on the pages, that could be very gorgeous. So that was also an option. I would have liked to try that one as well. But I actually have more pads or blocks of Saunders Waterford at home than Arches. And instead of ordering more Arches pads, I decided to order the Arches sketchbook. But this is also a very good option. I do love this paper very much. And to finish it off, we have some stickers from the guys. Okay, so that is the end of the sketchbooks, I believe. Okay, next box. So this one is a mixed supplies box from an online store in Switzerland. It's quite hard finding a good, well-stocked store of art supplies in Switzerland, so I do buy mostly online. And this is one of the shops that actually does quite a good online selection. So I wanted to try a few bits and bobs. Craft tape, this is just for sealing packages. Because yes, finding good tape for sealing cardboard boxes is not something I have managed to find in my local grocery store. So I ordered this from art shops. Let's start with the big stuff. I also wanted a bigger and sturdier bag to carry my art supplies in, specifically because when I travel, I had this problem when I traveled to France last month for an art camp with Jenna Rainey, which was amazing. Except my suitcase had random art supplies floating around, tucked in between my panties and shower gels and jerseys. And this is not an optimal way to travel. I was really worried that one of my paints, one of my crayons or pens would end up on my clothing or be damaged. So I picked up this little travel carry-all, from Derwent. So it's a little travel bag. And the idea is that I can just put all of my art supplies into one single bag when I travel, instead of having it tucked into all the nooks and crannies of my suitcase slash handbag slash laptop bag. So this one comes with a big hold-all pocket. And then, of course, the flaps to pack your pens and pencils. So they say it holds up to 120 or 130 something items. I do not know. This is something I will have to test. I did like the idea that even when I'm at home, I can store all of my supplies in here. And then when I need it, I can just take it out, pop it on my desk, and just sort of pick and choose what I need as I go along. And then I see that there's a little shoulder strap that comes with it. And what can I say? It looks pretty simple. It looks pretty functional. I like that you can take these extra flaps out to make more space or to add more supplies. That's quite nifty. I hope it's also robust and that it holds up. But yeah, overall, it was a pretty decent price, and Derwent tends to make pretty decent products. It's not waterproof though, so from what I can tell, I might be bad-mouthing them, but it doesn't look particularly waterproof, especially in the corners. So I do think you still have to be a bit careful about it. But this should be a convenient way to store and carry supplies. Okay, now come all the fun little things that I wanted to try. So my collection of watercolor paints, let's talk about this. It's too big. It's more than what I need. If I was pushing myself to improve, I should be following the idea of working with limited color palettes. But this is me. I never have enough pigments. So even though I have too many pigments from an artistic point of view, from a personal desire point of view, I don't have enough. So I picked up a few more. And some of the ones I wanted to try now were the Shadow Violet, the Manganese Blue, and the Amazonite Genuine. I have actually tried them before because I have swatched out the 238 dot Daniel Smith color cards, which I will share at some point, because that was a 9-month project of my life. And it's pretty much how I learned watercolor. I sketched something with each color because just swatching them was not going to give me a good enough idea. So I have already used these colors from the dot cards and decided that actually they were missing from my collection. So we can swatch these together in a little bit. I'm actually wondering if this is going to be in the same video, because this is feeling like it could become very long. So maybe I'll do the swatching in a separate part too. Okay, and then some pencils. So I wanted some watercolor pencils that would dissolve when I'm painting. This is a tip I saw from several artists already a year or two ago, and I have never gotten around to buying a watercolor pencil to sketch with, so that when I paint, my sketch dissolves. Since the pencil lines always remain a little bit visible, so I've either been rubbing out my pencil lines and then I barely see them and it doesn't help much, or I have been trying to paint without sketching in pencil underneath, which is tricky. So what I have seen working well for a lot of people on YouTube is making the sketch with the Aquarelle crayons and then painting over them and dissolving it. So the colors that I was really drawn to were the ones, the ones you see here. So from the Caran, I really wanted to try this one called Anthraquinoid Pink, which is a very nice soft pink. Can't wait to swatch this. And I wanted to try two blues. Well, I actually wanted a soft blue, and I couldn't tell from the site or from people swatching videos which one was really closer to what I was looking for. I wanted a light lavenderish color, so I ordered both. I have light ultramarine and sky blue. And it looks like the sky blue is closer to what I was looking for, but we will see on paper exactly what they look like. and some more pencils. So here I was adding to my luminance collection. I think I can talk of a luminance collection by now because I have more than 5. So that is getting exciting. Oh yes, and another watercolor. This is also from the Caran Museum Aquarelle range. It is their top range, but I have found that I never got into colored pencils and aquarelles younger. Every time I've tried them, I have found them difficult to work with. The colors didn't blend well, didn't melt well. The pencils were scratchy. I've never enjoyed the pencils. And I've realized now that it's just because I was painting with medium to low quality supplies. And one day I tried the luminance a while ago, and I realized that actually I really like coloring pencils when they're really good quality. So no, I'm not a cheap date. I have expensive tastes. So I decided to go with quality over quantity, and as you can see, I only bought 4 aquarelle pencils in total, but I really wanted to buy good ones. So that's why I went with the Museum Aquarelle range from Caran, which is their top range, and slightly on the cheaper end, but still on the top market range end. I don't know how to say this. I mean, I still wouldn't call these cheap, but they are a bit cheaper, is the Faber Castell Albrecht Durer range. And both look lovely. I mean, the colors on these look beautiful, and I'm really itching to get them onto paper. Luminance, these are the pencils that changed my mind about coloring pencils. I used to hate coloring pencils. And then I saw the lovely Owen Marwin, whose book is over there. I saw her using them, and the way they melted onto the page and how thickly and densely the pigment went on really interested me, because that was not my experience of colored pencils. So I thought, okay, I'll give it a shot. And a month ago or 2 months ago, I ordered 1 or 2 luminance pencils against my will, because I was convinced that I would hate them. I was convinced that I was wasting money. And I was convinced that this would just be the same experience of colors that are quite scratchy, hard to get on the paper, not particularly pigmented. And these guys just melted into the paper, the 2 that I ordered. I absolutely fell in love with it, so I had to have more. So I've added to the collection the turquoise blue, the scarlet aubergine, crimson aubergine, sorry. This is the anthraquinoid pink from Luminance. This is Payne's Grey, and I think this is a full Payne's Grey, yes, because they also make a 30% and a 60%, which one of which is included in the set we've just unboxed. And then there's this lovely ultramarine violet, which looks like a very pretty violet. We will look at this. We'll swatch all of them out. Now this is what I call desk candy. This will look very nice on the desk. Moving on to the next box. So this is also the second part of the order from the online Swiss shop. So this box has some completely new mediums for me, and it's very exciting. It's my first foray into mixed media. I feel like a teenager who's breaking the rules. Already when I ordered the colored crayons, it already felt like I was going to be called in for detention, because I was leaving the school of pure watercolor. So it felt quite naughty adding a second medium, but I'm very interested in trying even more mediums, because when you're overwhelmed, why not just add more mediums to make it simpler? So let's start with the simple things. I'm always looking for a good tape to tape down my paintings without tearing my paper. I have had horrible luck so far. Everyone seems to be talking about washi tape. I have tried every washi tape possible, and each of them has ripped my paper spectacularly, despite heating the paper, despite tacking, making the tape less tacky by taping it to my pants or skin a few times. So I will either tape it to my arm or tape it to my jeans a couple of times before I put on my paper. I will heat it before lifting it. I will lift it very slowly at a particular angle, or there hasn't been a solution which doesn't rip my paper. So I'm trying the Nippon Gold tape this time because I'm done with washi tapes. I'm done with destroying my sketchbook with washi tape. And let's hope that I have better luck with this one. I would have preferred a thinner tape, but I am willing to cut the tape myself to size if it doesn't massacre my sketchbook and my paper. So I'm truly hoping that this is going to be the ticket. And this is something that I have wanted to try forever and have never dared to. I don't know why. Because it looked complicated. It looked like it would be a mess in any sketchbook. It looked like I needed something with smooth paper, but that would be thick enough for it not to bleed through, but that would let it blend. It looked technically complicated, more so than watercolor, which attracted me with the idea of you can literally take a little palette with pans and a brush pen and be done with it. This was more cumbersome, and it seemed to have more technical problems that needed solving. But I couldn't wait anymore, so I wanted to try one of these. So this is the Ecoline brush pen set. They have different pre-made sets. The ones I was really hesitating between was the nudes. There's some beautiful beige and pink nudes in one of the sets. But I thought the most versatile one would be this one that they call the floral set or botanical set. It had a nice mix of blue teals and greens and a brown and red. So it looked like a good balance. And I thought I could always add them one by one. But I wanted to start with just a simple set to first see how they work and how I can add these to my art practice. And another filthy mixed medium habit that I want to try, because I've been seeing some really amazing artists whom I follow doing really nice things with these, has been the Caran Neocolors 2. So these are wax pastels, but they're water soluble. So Caran also does the Neocolor 1, which is not water soluble, and then the Neocolor 2, Aquarelle, because it is water soluble. Here again, I would have liked to pick my own colors individually. However, then I wouldn't have the tin to store them in. So I came to the compromise that I would first order a basic set. So this is a set of 15 colors. They're not necessarily what I would have chosen myself. Some of them are. I do like that sort of yellow ochre looking one and the turquoise. But I reason that it's a good start, and I can always swap them out later. If I do like them, I can always swap them out one by one as I go along. And my goodness, these are bright. So they're definitely very bright. So there seems to be, this looks like a yellow ochre. Yes, that is an ochre, and this looks like a burnt sienna. They're calling it brown. These two look quite nice. The turquoise blue and the emerald green look very nice as well. So these will be interesting to try. They look like they will come with a learning curve, but how beautiful are these colors? Really, really bright. So I'm expecting these to be something that is convenient to take along on location, because you can just use a crayon and water. So I'm hoping that that is something convenient to take along and use. All right. And then, still in the crayons, I might say I dipped a toe into crayon territory, and I have fallen quite deep. So here are two more luminance pencils that I picked up, because I was really impressed with these actually from trying them the first time. So here we have a yellow, which I was missing. This is a medium cadmium yellow. And then we have a Herculanum red, which looks like a beigey pinkish tone. So we will see how that looks on the paper. And then we have some more coloring pencils. I've never tried the polychromos, but I was very interested in trying them. So these are the polychromos by Faber Castell. I also like the look. I'm not saying the luminance don't look pretty, but I really like the whole pencil being covered in the color of the crayon and the little gold band at the top. I just find they look very sleek. And I really wanted to try these colors. Their colors seemed a bit more vibrant than the luminance, which tend to be more muted natural colors if you look at their swatch charts. And the polychromos just seem to have a few more vivid and bright colors. So here we have one called Salmon, if I remember right. Yes, that is Salmon, and a green gold. So we will be testing these as well. And still in the watercolor series, this is another blue from the Museum Aquarelle range by Caran. I'm just looking at whether it really is different from the other one or whether I bought two of the same. And thankfully I didn't. I see that the other one I bought is lighter. So the light one I bought, which is actually closer to what I'm looking for, is a light cobalt blue, whereas this is the real cobalt blue, and it looks quite different. So we will see how they compare again, wet and dry. And then I wanted to try the Derwent inktense. Now, from what I understand, these are a little bit different because you can wet them and use them as ink. But when they dry, they are water resistant. So they're no longer water soluble once they're dry, hence the name. So I want to test this effect because with the normal aquarelle, once you wet the crayon on the paper, you can reactivate it and it is not waterproof. And this apparently dries waterproof once you have wetted the first time. So I'm interested to see if this is true. I picked up two colors that I thought would be good neutrals. I picked up Lagoon, which looked like quite a deep blue, and Payne's Grey, which is always a good basic. And then the last things we have left here are the paint brushes. So I wanted to, oh my goodness, dog owner problems. The stuff is in the box and it's already covered in dog hair. So yes, I was missing some small bright brushes, so these flat ones. These are by Raphael. They're all imitation sable. I do not believe in actually killing living animals for brushes, especially since the synthetic brushes are such good quality, and I think most artists would not be able to differentiate them upon using them. Renly also does not believe in killing animals for brushes because he's also a little animal, and he says, why would you murder us? Fun fact, most of these animals that you see being killed for sable brushes are actually killed through what they call anal electrocution. And this doesn't sound nice in a video, but I think we can't pretend to be unaware of where our products are coming from. So if you are someone who wants to buy a natural brush, I think you should at least be aware of what you're buying, where it comes from, and what has been done to another living creature in order for you to buy that product. And I do not believe in animals being commodities whose lives and body parts we should be trading. That aside, of course, everyone is free to do what they want. That is my personal opinion, to which I'm also entitled. Hey, honey. Okay, let's look at the next item here. This is another sketchbook. Oh my goodness, this was the great sketchbook haul of the year. This one is a Strathmore mixed media. So of course now I want to explore the mixed media world. My goodness, I do feel like such a delinquent when I say that. But I needed the right sketchbook for that because painting on watercolor paper with watercolor is great. I don't think it'll work for the markers, and also I want to actually try the crayons and the drawing on a smoother paper, and this actually feels lovely. So I took quite a large one. This is an A4 because I like working on a larger surface, and I like having more paper to work on. And I see that the paper on this is actually thicker than I expected, and it is smooth, but it's not shiny smooth. It has a bit of a velvety touch to it. Let me try and zoom you in on this. Maybe now you can see that there's a very subtlest texture on these pages. You can see it a little bit there. So it's got a bit of a velvety touch, which is quite nice. It's not that smooth satiny touch either. Size is good, weight is good. The cover has got a bit of a sort of fake leather embossing effect. And this looks quite nice. It feels quite sturdy, and it's heavier than I expected. So I hope that this will be able to do it all, as they say. And the last item here is because, of course, I am missing pigments. I wanted to pick up this one from Daniel Smith, his new gamboge. Currently I'm using the Aussie Red Gold, which is a bit comparable, and I have not been crazy about it. I wanted something a bit more transparent, which granulated a bit less and was more in the yellows. So this seemed like the right way to go. And I look forward to using it. Please excuse me while I finish unboxing. You are not part of the art hall. You are just an assistant to the art hall. This one I did not buy from an art shop. This is not a paintbrush, and this is not paint, and this is not a sketchbook. For those who are confused, this is a dog. He lives here. And moving on to the last box. By now this looks nothing like an unboxing video. It's the first one I've ever made. In fact, it's the first anything video that I've made. And I give up. I tried to make it look like all of these beautiful professional art haul unboxing videos I see on YouTube. We are far from it. We have a dog who has been unpacking with me and who by now has moved into the boxes. We have stuff everywhere. My knees are aching. I don't know how everyone else does it. I think it's just practice. But let's finish up. So this is the last package. The first thing in it is some ruby satin brushes by Silverbrush. This is just a small set with, if I remember correctly, 4 or 5 different brushes in it, 4 brushes. So one bright, one flat, and a round brush. And this is the mixed media set, so this is why I bought it, because I wanted something to work acrylic gouache with, or acryl gouache. And I don't have that. I have watercolor brushes. So I just picked up a little set to go with this. I didn't want to get too invested and pick up anything too fancy. I just wanted to have at least 3 or 4 different options with which to pick up the paint and poke it onto the paper with. This looked like a good place to start. And here is something that I've waited a long time to buy, mostly because I could not find this in Switzerland. It was quite hard to source. I only found it at a place called Peter's Art, which thankfully delivered to Switzerland. And this is a box set of acryl gouache by Turner. And this is the Yuzuki Nakamura set. I like the color selection in here. Of course, I would have selected slightly different colors myself, but this seemed like a good place to start. And actually, it was already so hard to find Turner acryl gouache on continental Europe that I was happy to find this set and was happy to start with this. There are some individual paints that I want to pick up, some individual colors from them, but I will have to order those from the UK or directly from Japan, because they don't sell those here. So what I liked about this set was that there were 12 colors and they were in smaller tubes. So these are tubes of 11 milliliters compared to when you're buying individual tubes, which are 15 or 20 milliliters, if I remember correctly. So they have to be bigger. And this reassured me getting the smaller ones, because I felt like I would be wasting less eventually if I didn't end up using all of them or I didn't end up liking them. So this seemed like a nice place to start. There's some basic primary colors. I liked the fact that there was a gold in here to try, a metallic, and then there's 3 pastel colors that I was very interested in trying. I actually wanted to get the acrylic gouache originally for the pastel colors, which you don't really have in aquarelle. You can make very similar colors, but these milky, opaque pastels are very much acrylic and gouache type colors. And I really wanted to try these. So these are actually the 3 I'm the most excited about. And that is it. We have come to the end of our unboxing. And there has been anarchy during this video. I don't know how much of it is going to end up on the video, but it has been absolute madness. So let me just put some of the items out so you can see everything that was included. Thank you very much for watching along on my very first art haul unboxing video. That was an absolutely trying experience, but I'm very glad you've stayed until the end. If you have, please leave a comment at the end so that I know that you have been patient and supported me. And let's make that comment into something something kind. Let's make that comment into synthetic, because I am a big supporter of synthetic brushes that do not involve any animal cruelty, captivity, or death. So please leave synthetic in your comments, and I would love to hear your thoughts, ideas, feedback, and suggestions. And I'm now going to go on to testing and swatching all of these lovely materials. And if any of you have a lot of experience with any of these mediums or any of these materials, please let me know how you like to use them and how I should be trying them in order to get the best idea of them. Thank you so much. That was a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing you again. Enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.